mic goes on learn because.
Ricky hasn't been able to say anything the whole time.
Why am I here? He gets more spaghetti.
I've never really been a spiritual person. I've never really prayed to God. I never really knew what a close relationship with God was like. And about a year ago, Laura had invited me to a women's Bible study.
One time I was outside signing up for a women's retreat, and Rachelle came up to me and she was like, "What are you doing?" And I just remember thinking, I'm not going to invite her to this. Why on earth would she go to this, whole retreat of studying the Bible and pay $100? But I said, "Do you want to go?" And she was like, "Yeah," like really quickly. And I just remember thinking, wow, she must be, open to relationship or open to just hearing more about Christ.
So it was at Twyla's home, and it was a Bible study by Beth Moore, Breaking Free, and I was just, wow, I just wanted to read more into the next week.
So the second week, I thought, well, I need to get to know Rachelle and just find out where she is. I just went up to her the second week and asked her how she liked it, and she said she was really enjoying it, and there were some things she didn't understand. And so we just started talking about some of the things that she didn't understand, and I just started talking to her about a relationship with God.
I didn't know what I needed to do. I didn't know how to go forward, but I knew something was changing inside my life. I knew I was going towards Christ, but I didn't know how to get to Him.
I said, well, you just need to pray and tell Jesus that you believe in Him and you believe that He's the only way to God.
And I was like, well, that's it? And she said, yeah. And they prayed over me, and I prayed with them. It was just so great. It was the greatest moment in my life. First thing I did when I got in my car was call Rick.
She calls me and she's crying. And I'm like, what's the matter? What's going on? And she's like, I'm so happy. And I was just like, what? And she's like, I'm so happy. And she's just like, I've accepted Christ as my Savior. And I mean, it just blew me away. Growing up, I always thought that I had some type of relationship with God. I would pray as a little child and go to church with my mom and my sister. And so I felt that, I had established some type of rapport with God. When Rachelle decided to accept Christ, it was amazing. It was like she blew me away. I always felt that I was so far ahead of her on a spiritual journey, so to speak, that I was like here and she was back here, and the next thing I knew, she was here and I was way back here. It really inspired me. She really inspired me to do the same. That very next Sunday, Pastor Irwin praying at the end, towards the end of the sermon, and that he prayed for those who wanted to accept Christ in their life to pray with him. I prayed with Pastor Irwin and accepted Christ.
We knew that Rick and Rachelle were living together, but we hadn't really broached the subject. I really wanted her to know that it was because God was calling her to purity and holiness that she would obey God. It wasn't because Laura and I were saying, this is wrong. Is there anything in your life right now that before you get baptized that is not pleasing to God? And right away you said, yeah, I'm living with Rick.
I just knew right then that that's what I needed to do and what I needed to do to obey God.
And I was blown away to see you, a relatively new believer with a girlfriend who's a relatively new believer, and you guys just make this drastic decision because out of obedience for God.
I remember the quick decision they both made to move out after living together. And then fast forwarding to the day of their wedding, and then being able to look into Rick's eyes and say, Rick, you are a man of integrity. That was a pretty powerful moment.
It was cool to hear that both of them had talked together and made a decision without, being convinced by anybody ultimately, but God. Both of them were excited to obey God.
I remember Laura calling me and saying, guess what? Rachelle moved out last night, and she moved from Burbank to Covina, but you worked in Northridge, right? So she was adding another like hour and a half to her commute every day. I remember thinking, you know, I don't want to walk across the street to talk to my neighbor to obey God, but Rachelle is making a sacrifice of every day of an hour and a half of her time to obey God.
I just think that God really, I don't want to record this, but I just think that God really loved you guys so much, and he wanted you so much. And me and Ricky just prayed in the middle of the night. He was really calling you guys. So, I really don't want that on the tape.
Your relationship with Christ is everlasting. I mean, once you accept him, it's forever. And it not only is forever, but it's 24/7. You have him always. I mean, the word always, I mean, that's what the word means. It means Christ, always. Just, he's always with you.